Recording? Okay. Guests, I'm going to say to you what I say to all my guests, and don't take it the wrong way, especially you, Dr. Carole. Behave yourselves. Okay. That's the last thing I say to my guests. Okay. I'm
What
watching
fun
us
is
go.
that?
Just for you, I'm watching us go. Everybody wave hello to LinkedIn, wave hello to Facebook, wave hello to YouTube. Okay, Jordan,
Sending you
send
the
us the
feed.
feed.
Have a
Let's
great
do
night.
this.
Welcome to Next at the Mic Radio, a lively hour of unscripted roundtable conversations with Voice America's longtime, new and upcoming hosts about their inspirations, goals, and insights to help you find your own mic. Ooh, how those lips can talk.
Carole, you missed my lips opening.
Here's Bonnie D.
Bonnie D in the house. I want to ask my guest, Mikki, you've been on before. You can't answer this. Cindy Stibbard and Dr. Carole Lieberman, the voice who just did the intro. Was that a real person, Cindy? Yes or no?
I want to say so because it's really sexy.
Okay, good. Carole, what'd you think, Carole?
I will say it's a real person because that's what Voice America does.
Okay. Jordan, can you replay that intro? Because I want them to hear it one more time. Can you put that on and get a little bit louder for me? See if he can do that. Jordan, are you there? Listen.
Welcome to Next at the Mic Radio, a lively hour of unscripted roundtable conversations with Voice America's longtime, new and upcoming hosts about their inspirations, goals, and insights to help you find your own mic. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's Bonnie D.
Bonnie D again. I'm still here in the house. Carole, I'll go to you first. Real person?
Yes, I do think so.
Cindy?
It's your boyfriend.
As they say in New York, where I'm from, I should be so lucky. Ladies, that is an AI voice that was created for me by Robert Cellino, the general manager of Voice America. And he uses a special website, a special AI trained program to create voices. And we went over, Cindy, and well, Mikki knows this, and Carole, I'll introduce you all formally in just a minute, but just bear with me here. He went through about 12 different voices and sent me samples. And I said, nope. And you know what the kicker was, Carole? It had to say, oh, how those lips can talk. Because that's one of my, it's one of my mantras from one of my other radio shows. When he said that, he was the one, and we still haven't named him yet. Anybody want to come up with a name for my voiceover? Mikki, what do you think? What do we call him?
I don't know. I think we need to call him. It sounded sexy. I have to agree. So something like Tom Selleck, although Tom may not sound like a sexy name, but in my life,
Thomas. Let's go with Thomas. Okay.
Magnum.
Cindy. Oh, we call him Magnum. Oh my goodness.
Magnum.
Get the champagne. Cindy, what would you call him, Cindy?
I want to say he's like a Jackson.
Ooh, we have a Magnum and a Jackson. Carole, I'll challenge you. What would you call him?
I call him. He reminded me of Frank Sinatra.
Oh, interesting. Should we call him Frankie? Frankie or Francis? Should we go with the formal? Ooh, okay. Well, here we are, Next at the Mic. I'm Bonnie D. I started the show around 6 months ago because I wanted to meet and greet and get to know the wonderful people who, like me, are hosts on Voice America. Dr. Carole Lieberman and I go back so many years. Carole, you were on the show before I came to Voice America. I don't even know if you remember me, but I can't forget you ever, Dr. Carole's Couch. Mikki Shepard's been on the show a couple of times. This one, always happy to have her. Cindy Stibbard was introduced to me by one of the EPs at Voice America a couple weeks ago, and I invited you on the show. So, ladies, I'm happy to have you here. And the point of this show is simply to talk about radio. Why do we do it? How do we do it? What do we do? What message? What communities are we building? How do we feel about it? Are there challenges? Are there joys? Heck yes, some of both. We all know that, right? And I want to know what you think about the future of radio. How long will it be here? Is it archaic? I don't think so. And by the way, people say to me, Bonnie, you do a lot of podcasts. Well, Carole, I have 55 radio shows. I want you to know since I've met you, 55 of them on Voice. 55 shows I've started for big companies around the world since 2011, and I currently only have 4 shows at the same time. However, people call this, they say, you have a podcast. And I say, no, I don't pre-record. I don't edit. I don't clean it up. It is what it is. We are live. We're live. Ladies, again, wave hello to LinkedIn, please. I see us on LinkedIn. Wave hello to Facebook. And I added YouTube. I'm refreshing my screen here for LinkedIn. I added YouTube. And of course, We're on the Voice America Variety channel, which is wonderful. So I have a monologue that, Mikki, because you've been on, there are no surprises for you. So don't say anything to the ladies. Cindy and Carole, may I call you Carole, or you want to be Dr. Carole? Who would you like to be?
Well, I mean, I guess since the show is Dr. Carole, let's be consistent.
We'll go with Dr. Carole then. That's fine. I have great respect for MDs. I have several in my family, so I understand. So here's the deal. I go to ChatGPT when I'm preparing my shows, and I say, write me a poem for my opening monologue. And it does. And then I give it a full bio for you, Dr. Carole, for you, Mikki, for you, Cindy. And then it synthesizes and comes up with a little overview poem for each of you on who you are and what you do, and a little opening for me and a closing. But here's the deal. I then spend time editing it to make sure I really like it. So I'm going to read the poem when I call your name, and Carole, you're first, Cindy is second, and Mikki is third. When I read your name, just wave wildly to the audience because they want to see your reaction. Okay, so here we go. Upon her scarlet mic with a passionate glow, can you all see me glowing? There's sunlight coming in. Bonnie D at the helm of the Next at Mike show. Today on Let's Talk About It, she'll welcome 3 radio hosts with flair, a symphony of voices, their stories unique and rare. Dr. Carole Lieberman, wave hello, America's psychiatrist renowned, based in Beverly Hills, her insights abound. AKA the terrorist therapist, her wisdom rings so clear. She's dedicated to guiding us through challenges and fear. Carole, did you like that?
Yes, that was pretty amazing. You know,
Okay, hold on. I got to read the rest. Then we'll talk.
Sure.
Cindy Stibbard, wave hello, CEO of the Strength to Thrive, navigates love, life lost, and divorce with drive. A compassionate coach, her story inspires, transforming turmoil into the strength that transpires. Cindy, what'd you think?
Wow. It's so
Like it?
romantic. I don't think I've had a poem written for me in a very, very, very long
Well,
time.
there
Ever.
you go. And Mikki M.A. Shepard, author and adoption advocate, through her lens, family's narrative, she does activate. That rhymes with advocate, Mikki. With her multifaceted journey from Air Force to scribe, Mikki's words resonate in adoption with her powerful vibe. Mikki, sorry I bumped that a little bit, but I hope that was okay. Now, and let me finish it. Tune in, watch, or listen. Our constellation bright, illuminating the airwaves right now with sheer delight on Next at the Mic, where brilliance takes flight. Bonnie D's live roundtable in the live streaming light. Dr. Carole, what'd you think? Pretty good?
Yes, too good. I mean, you know, what about real people writing poems?
I write poems. I'm part of a Writer's Digest group. Every Wednesday morning, we get a prompt from our editor, Robert Lee Brewer, and we write real poems and we comment on each other. But I input my opening and closing. I write those, and then I input your bios, and it writes a little poem for each of you. And then I spend time editing it. Cindy, I hope you enjoyed that.
Oh, I loved it. I love a good poem. I'm a terrible poet, but when I'm serenaded like that, I am not going to say no.
Serenaded is lovely. Mikki, you liked it, right? Mikki always likes these.
I did. Well, you know, last time I was on here, you talked about how you were being so polite with the AI. And I tried it. I tried your approach, and I got much better results.
Oh, good. Big debate. Mikki's talking about the big debate with a tech friend of mine named Dan Geller, and he says, you don't have to say please and thank you to ChatGPT and other LLMs. Just say, give me this, give me that, write a poem. And I have to. I say thank you and please and good afternoon and good evening. Could you this? And by the way, when I input my opening and my closing, and then your bio, Dr. Carole, your full bio you sent me, Mikki, yours, and Cindy's, how long, when I hit the submit button, when I hit the return button on my keyboard, how long do you think it took for ChatGPT to send me back the first version of the poem? How long? Carole, how long?
A minute.
Okay. Cindy?
Oh, yeah, I would say seconds, like 20 seconds.
Okay. Mikki, how long?
30 seconds.
Okay. If you were to count 1,000 to 1,000 for seconds before you got to 3, it delivered the poem to me.
Wow.
Under 3 seconds. And then I go through and I say, do I like this rhyme? Did it use the word bright and sight and insight too many times? And I'll change it. I'll go back and say, okay, ChatGPT, that was lovely, but could you write the part about Dr. Carole Lieberman again for me? I want to use some different rhymes. And it'll come back. And then I'll say to him, I changed this. What do you think? And it'll tell me, Bonnie, you did a really good job. You kept the right. It says that to me. It says you kept the flow in the rhyme scheme. So I have, Carole, I think I need a psychiatrist. I have conversations with ChatGPT. So what I'd like to do now on this show, I'm happy you all enjoyed that. And I'm glad we came up with names for the voice because I never really named him. I'll have to check with Robert and see if it's Jackson, Francis, and what was the name? And Magnum, right? Magnum. Okay. Magnum's not bad for an AI voice. That's pretty good. So here's the deal. This is the 3-minute roundtable. We have a lot to talk about. Dr. Carole Lieberman, I'm just delighted. And whoever designed your pink room behind you, please send them my compliments. That is just gorgeous. So for those of you who don't see her, she's sitting in a pink room and it's just beautiful. Carole, Dr. Carole, would you please fill us in? I gave just a little tiny overview of what you do and who you are. I want you to take your entire life story, plus your entire years of radio, plus your entire time as a psychiatrist, and I want you to squinch it into 3 minutes and bring us up to date on who you are and what you do. Carole, welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking at the clock. I will make it 3 minutes.
No, I'll time it for you. Just go. Just go.
Well, once upon a time when I was a little girl, I decided after reading a book about the first doctor in America that I wanted to be a doctor. Then when I was a teenager, I read Freud's interpretation of dreams. And so I went to medical school, and with the idea of being a physician, a psychiatrist, but with the idea of not just being a psychiatrist who sees patients in my office, but wanting to, share the insights that I had gained during my education with more people than that. And so it was always my intention to do radio, write books, television, all of the media and speaking engagements, everything that you can do to reach a lot of people. And that is what I grew up to do. I have, yes, as you mentioned, Bonnie, I have a show on Voice America since 2005, Dr. Carole's Couch. I had shows before that on different networks. I'm on television, I'm on other radio shows. And as I said, doing speaking engagements, blah, blah, blah. What has changed though over the years is that, and what I wanted to share, why I developed that is because I have had an amazing opportunity to be trained by like the best people in psychiatry. Literally, I was chief resident at NYU Bellevue, but during that time, I spent some time in London learning from Anna Freud, the daughter of Sigmund Freud. So it came full circle. Sigmund Freud is what inspired me, who inspired me to be a psychiatrist. And then I had the good fortune to actually learn from his daughter, Anna Freud. And what has changed, though, over the years is that at the beginning, I was doing sort of it's always like the topics in the news, helping people sort of wrap their head around what's going on in the news. And my first 2 books were about relationships, and Bad Boys and Bad Girls. That's 2 different books. And then I started after 9/11. That's when I started getting more serious. Not that I don't talk about fun things, but I'm really aimed. That's when I became what I call the terrorist therapist. I patented it or trademarked it, so nobody starts thinking about becoming a terrorist. It's over.
It's yours here. It's yours here. It's okay.
And so I talk about, I have a podcast, The Terrorist Therapist Show, and my aim is to not just talk about things in the news, but to really, try to help people prepare for what's coming. There is more terrorist attacks coming, and just things in the news that, from like I just did my show right before this, and I was talking about Biden's brain and about his dementia and so on. So I talk about things that I want to go back to a time when it was Norman Rockwell's America, when traditional America, when you could trust people, when you could go fishing, not that nobody goes fishing anymore, but I mean, it's that kind of the things that he portrayed in his paintings, traditional America, that's what we need to get back.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carole. Appreciate that. when you were on one of my earlier radio shows, as I said, years before I came to Voice America, I was either on WGBB AM 1240. I think you were a guest at the National Publicity Summit years ago. I have a feeling that's where I met you, and you pitched me at the Penn Hotel in New York. It's possible. And it was either the Bad Boys or the Bad Girls book that you had
It
just
was
written.
2011, right? And it was Bad Girls.
There you go. That's right. That's what, and I just came to I came to Voice America with business shows in 2011. So it must have been I was doing my show either on another station online or I was at WGBB on Long Island. There you go. Carole, it's so nice to see you. And Anna Freud, talk about name dropping, dear. That's pretty heavy duty there. Thank you very much. Let's go around the table. Cindy Stibbard, I just met you a few minutes before we started the show. I know just what you sent in your bio. We would love to know more about you. So Cindy, I'm putting you on speaker view. Please regale us with your whole life story in 3 minutes, just like Dr. Carole did. Go ahead.
Wow. Well, I'm so honored to be here, ladies, especially amongst such established and accomplished women. And so you guys are definitely the type of women that I look up to and aspire my career to be. And my life story is I think that I had always belonged in psychology and helping others in some way, shape, or form. When I was younger, and I'm oldest of 4 siblings, and my parents did not have a great marriage. And when I was 15, I sat them down and I said, you two need to get a divorce because this is awful.
Whoa.
And I'm giving you 2 weeks to make a decision. So they went away kind of a little bit shocked. And I said, this can't go on. And so 2 weeks later, of course, they're ignoring the whole conversation, thinking that maybe I won't bring it up. Well, I set them down one more time and I said, okay, I need your decision. I want to know what you have decided because this marriage between you is terrible. We're not happy as kids. And if this is going to continue, then I promise you I'm leaving the house and I'm moving out when I turn 18. And so my mom looked at me. I remember her saying, well, we've decided that we're staying together for the kids. And I looked at her and I said, that is the worst thing that you could do. And so I let it go. And of course, the marriage didn't get better, only got worse. And so when I was 18, I left home. Like I said, I would. I don't think my parents believed me, but I found a little basement bedroom in a distant cousin's house in a next community over, put myself through university, thought I'm going into psychology because I need to learn how to help people. At the time, I also really wanted to go into broadcasting because I felt like maybe being on the news was going to be really fun. So I went into communications and psychology. And my parents could not afford to help me in university. And the best place I thought at the time to go into broadcasting would go back east. I'm living in Vancouver. I wanted to go to Carleton or Ryerson, like somewhere that I could really learn. And they said, well, I'm sorry, but we can't afford to help you there. So it's best if you just choose something that you can do here at home. And so going into psychology, really loved it. But my mother, love her to bits, was like, do you know how long it's going to take you to get a degree in psychology and to actually be able to help people? That's going to take you so long, and you're not going to be able to have a family. You're going to be in debt for so long. I think you should be a teacher. So that was her life.
Talk about a Norman Rockwell lifestyle, right?
Right?
Girls are teachers and cooks. Okay, go ahead, Cindy.
Right?
Keep going.
And I think that was her lifetime dream sort of being projected onto me, because to her, that was the best occupation for a mom. You could be home with your kids during the summer, during holidays, and, be able to work at the same time. And so here I am thinking, first year university, I don't even like kids, but sure, let's just go into teaching. So I go and get my teaching degree. I go and become a teacher. I end up loving teaching and doing a really good job at it, and end up staying in teaching for 10 years until I got pregnant with my son. Then I left work, and I was lucky enough to have married into a really affluent family. I got to stay home with my kids for 11 years. But I don't know how many women out there really find a lot of value and identity in that role for that long, that I really struggled in that position for a long time. So over time, my marriage really struggled. It really broke down, and I ended up leaving my marriage myself as a disenfranchised spouse, someone who hadn't worked in 11 years, who had no idea what our family finances were, but knew that I couldn't be happy here. And so it was that experience that ended up spawning me into, I think, the career I was truly meant to have. Not only am I now in front of more cameras, where I always dreamed of being, but I have become certified as a divorce coach, as a relationship coach. I'm working with Dr. Scott Lyons at the EMDR Somatic Embodiment Lab Institute and learning my somatic practices to help that with my clients release the trauma and the anger and the resentment around divorce, and really helping them navigate a better way, because there's a really big gray area between going to therapy and getting a lawyer, where people really need that support. And how do I navigate this divorce process in the best way I can so that it doesn't end up like all those nightmare divorces that you have heard of? So that's really my focus. The more marriages I can save, the better I think I can do. But I also think that not all marriages need to be saved.
Thank you very much, Cindy. There used to be a column, Carole, and you may remember, well, actually, you and Mikki and I may remember it, in the Ladies' Home Journal. It was called, Can This Marriage Be Saved? And it was in the magazine, and they had a couple, and back in the day, I think they were psychologists or psychiatrists. I don't think they had divorce coaches. This goes back a long time. Cindy, thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you. And you do well in front of the camera. So I'm just complimenting you. Actually, you all do. Oh, Mikki, oh, Mikki, oh, Mikki, you're back for the third time. I'm delighted to have you. Mikki, I ran the frequent guestometer. That's guest-ometer. And I discovered that there were 19.3785 people in the world who don't remember you from the last time you were on the show a couple weeks ago. So could you talk to the 0.8375? I don't know about the 19. Forget about them. Mikki, please reintroduce yourself. And interesting, there's a thread among the three of you with what you all do. And by the way, I have a degree in psychology I never used. I just try to understand where my guests are coming from. So it did, but my comedy and improv training did me better than psychology. Mikki, welcome back. Let's hear from you. Go ahead.
Wow. I the whole time Carole and Cindy were talking, I thought, I never thought of myself as a psychologist, but if you're in real estate for almost 40 years, you better know how to talk to people. But now I started working when I was 12 years old, and as a mother's helper. I don't know if they have those anymore, but it was just always something I was supposed to do. But I had a very strong desire to join the service. It was Vietnam was going on at the time, and I had been a bunch of people in my graduating class had all been at this clam bar the night they drew the lottery, and it was the first time they ever did that. And one of our friends was the very first birthday pulled out, and he walked outside of the bar and shot his finger off to keep himself from having to go in. It was just the fear, the way they did that was such a bad thing. But I kept thinking, why are we not trying to get women involved? Our draft is for men. Not that I had a desire to die, but I'm very proud, very patriotic, and I really believe my dad, my grandparents, everybody had been in the service. So I joined the Air Force and found out after I joined the Air Force that I wasn't going to be able to go to Vietnam because they weren't sending women there at the time, except nurses. And that was few and far between. But it was a wonderful experience. I really, really enjoyed it, and it was something to be proud of. And the other thing was, when I got out, I had the GI Bill, so I could go and get my degree. And I had been encouraged also to be a teacher. I think we all were at one point. In fact, I had an aunt who made me promise I'd become a teacher. And I thought about it, but I didn't. I wasn't sure at the time what I wanted to do. And the irony of this whole thing, I have a degree in art history, which means I can curate a museum. But I was in Colorado, and if you wanted to be in a museum, it was in Denver. So I went into real estate instead, spent a lot of time there. My mother had been in real estate. My former husband and I had just bought our first house, and it was a disaster sale. And I thought there's got to be a better way to work with people. And actually, it's been very kind to me, because I've been marketing director for the Red Cross, and I've been a coach for Tony Robbins and my brother Chet Holmes. But being in real estate, after I got divorced, when I got my license is when I met my broker, who is now my husband of almost 41 years. And my son, who is the subject of my book, was also a referral from real estate. I always say he was the greatest, most wonderful referral in the world and the most expensive. But it was because of real estate that we were put in a situation where we were able to adopt. It was 19 days notice, and it was fabulous. And that 19 days is going to kick off here again. It'll be 34 years next month.
Oh, wow.
But I thought about this a lot. I had always wanted to write a book. I wanted to write a book about my dad. My mom married my dad when I was 12 years old, and I couldn't stand him. And he was getting in the way of me and mom. That was our whole thing. But that man was determined to win me over. And I give him a lot of credit. She was a single mom with 3 kids, and he wanted to be there. And he did win me over. And thank goodness it was a simpler, quieter Norman Rockwell time, because that year when he won me over, I wrote to the New York Board of Education and had them change my name. Now, you wouldn't be able to do that as a 12-year-old without, some legal paperwork, but it was my gift to him for Father's Day. And then I always wanted to write a book because I realized how many people in our family, it's like 4 generations of real legal adoptions, or where people just joined together as families and adopted each other, if you will. And that was the inspiration for the book until my son came along. And then it really got big because we had a wonderful experience. And I'm so grateful. I always have been grateful that this happened. But there were, at least then, a lot of bad stories about adoption. So this point in my life, what I really want to do through the radio, because you can reach more people, is I'm trying to raise awareness about adoption. Because I hear a lot about people should have a choice. Well, I would like people to know there's another choice. If you're going to make a choice, you should have the choices in front of you. So that's what we've been doing. Voice America was wonderful when they approached me after my book had come out, that they wanted to do a show like this. And we have had, what we do is we're having guests who either are industry experts, like Save the Storks or First Life, and or Life First, the Dave Thomas Foundation, the snowflake information, which nobody knew about, including me, until I got into this. And then people who have been adopted or did adopt or have a story that goes together somehow with adoption. And it's really been phenomenal to let people just tell their story. Nobody wants to listen to me for an hour every single week, but if you can introduce a new story, it might touch somebody. I believe you never know who's listening. And if you touch one person with something you said, it was worth it. And so that's what led here. So that's what I'm doing on Voice America.
Mikki. Thank you. To the 3 of you, you're 3 extraordinary people who happen to be women. I admire the 3 of you. Show's over. No, we have another half hour to go. But my point is, this is why I started next at the mic, Dr. Carole and Cindy and Mikki, because I thought it was time that we get to meet each other. We're all on Voice America, and we don't talk, and we don't get together, and we don't know. Carole didn't know about Cindy. Cindy didn't know about Mikki. Mikki didn't know about Carole. None of you know. Well, a couple of you know about me. But the point is, what are we doing here? We're talking. We're communicating. We're sharing. We are blasting out our ideas. We're talking a little about radio and careers and psychology and Norman Rockwell and values and family and community and helping people and being in front of the camera now that we can live stream. So I want to thank the 3 of you for sharing your story so beautifully, because that's the purpose of this show. So now let's go on to some more of the fun stuff here. I've asked each of you to send me a quote from a fictional character in a movie or TV show or a song lyric. I think we have some doozies today. And Dr. Carole, I'm going to read your quote with a little bit of background. This is lovely. And I have so much to talk about. So let's take 2 minutes to explain what the quote has to do with your topic on your show or how you feel about radio. Either one is fine. So Dr. Carole has picked a quote from Rhett Butler, played by Clark Gable. Swoons. We could have called my AI voice Clark. Or just Gable, maybe Gable instead of Magnum. His last words to Scarlett O'Hara, played by the lovely Vivian Leigh, Gone with the Wind, of course, 1939 American epic historical romance film. Rhett responds to Scarlett's tearful question, "Where shall I go? What shall I do?" in the hope she can win him back after a decade or more of seeking her love He no longer cares. Here is the quote. I won't give any more information about the show other than it won 12 Academy Awards. What can I say? Here we go. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Okay, Carole, what is it you're not giving a damn about with your radio show? Go ahead.
Well, there's so much, people are so offended so easily, or there's so much, especially it wasn't so much in 2005 when I started, but certainly it's gotten to be more and more that, there's these fears of what are you not offending someone or saying something that isn't politically correct. And so I finally threw all that to the winds and said, frankly, my dear, first of all, that's my favorite movie. But anyway, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn that I'm going to voice my opinion, based upon my life experiences, my education and so on, and with the purpose of trying to help people and wake people up and give my point of view. You don't have to, buy into it. But I think that's the best kind of show. That's the best kind of presentation you can make if you're just authentic.
Well put. I gave up the word authentic, Dr. Carole, a couple months ago. I changed my word to real deal with a hyphen. Dr. Carole Lieberman, you're the real deal. And you're absolutely right. It's your microphone. It's your show. Speak your mind, right? Speak your truth, as they say. And if they don't like it, turn it off or write a note or say something or just shut up and say, well, I don't agree with her. And that's okay. That has to be okay. Let me go to Cindy Stibbard. You've picked a quote from Jordan Belfort, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013 American epic two epic movies so far, epic biographical Black comedy crime film. They have a lot of genres in there, starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Belfort, Jonah Hill, as I saw he's blonde now, as his best business partner and friend. Margot Robbie was his second wife, Naomi LaPaglia. She was all over the Oscars, if anybody watched on Sunday. Barbie didn't do anything much, but the show was stolen by Ryan Gosling as Ken doing his I'm Ken song. It was quite a showstopper. So here's the quote Cindy has selected. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is the BS story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. Cindy, what does this have to do with your show? Nice quote.
Well, I think this really reflects and piggybacks on what Dr. Carole was saying too. I think that, we do live in a generation now, and I'm very grateful of that we can start to speak our truth, and we can also start to call each other out on our BS, because so much of what goes on in our own lives, even in our own relationships, starts with us. Like, we are the root, we are the source of so much of our struggle and our discontent and our suffering. And if we can start to look at the stories that we're telling ourselves as what's holding us back, we can start with ourselves. It's so easy, right, to blame him and her, and like, my divorce wasn't my fault, or, my relationship problems are not on me. And the moment that we can let that go and start looking at ourselves, the freedom and the power that comes with that is pretty remarkable. So I love that. I think that I reflect a lot of what Dr. Carole just says. That's my mission as well, is to let's speak the truth. Let's get uncomfortable, because if we're evoking emotion, even if it's uncomfortable, at least we know we're doing our job and we're getting out there in the way that's meaningful.
That's a great name for a radio show. Let's get uncomfortable. Who wants it?
It is.
Isn't that true?
It's true.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you very much. Mikki has selected a quote from Diane Chambers, played by Shelley Long. Cheers! So many classics we've got here. Not only the four of us, but classic movies and TV. I had to say that. American sitcom TV series, NBC, 1982 to 93. This was the episode, Mikki, called The Motion Picture. Do I do my homework or what? Season 5, episode 24, originally aired on April 2nd, 1987. Sam Malone, bartender, former Boston Red Sox relief pitcher, blah, blah, blah. The series finale in 1993 of Cheers became the most watched single TV episode of the 1990s. The 275 episodes have been syndicated worldwide, and it is one of the most popular scripted series in history. So here is the quote Diane is saying, people, work with me. That's a good one, Mikki. How'd you find that? Go ahead, Mikki.
Actually, I use it a lot. And it's always been one of my favorite quotes because I've, other than real estate and all these other things that I've done, I've also worked with I ran the Realtor Convention in the Hudson Valley of New York for several years. And, it's all volunteer. And then you get people who just want to get in the way. And I couldn't help it, but it started coming out. People work with me. And if nothing else, it made them laugh long enough to settle down. But it occurred to me with the radio show, like you were saying earlier, it's live.
Yep.
And so things are going to happen. And like, I guess who doesn't show up or something goes wrong with the sound and we've all experienced it. I mean, I certainly had the sound situation on some beginning shows, just because the guests I invite are many are industry experts. So they're used to things like this, but a lot of them aren't. They're just normal, everyday people who have a great story and they're willing to share it. So you run into these sound things. And it's like, okay, in my head, I may not say it out loud to everyone, but it's going on in my head that people work with me. I think you have the same thing with the technicians, or like when we were doing the sound tests earlier, and we have to do them more than once because what was sounding good before we started wasn't sounding great at the time. That's still in your head, that it is, you're getting people to work with you instead of getting, if everybody's talked about it, getting offended or insulted that, oh, well, I thought I was talking loud enough. We do live in a world where everybody is so nuts. They are. Everything's
Say it loud
so
and proud.
You want to be offended. You want to be politically correct. And I start out a show that it's not a political show. It's an opinion, and it's education, and it's just raising awareness about something so wonderful that many people have misconceptions about. So I believe, if you get the people to work with you and they'll share their story. I've had some wonderful people I've met at parties who have great, great stories. They're afraid, they don't want to go on the air because there is somebody somewhere in their family that doesn't know the story, which surprised me at this time in our lives, and it's 2024. But so it's a matter of that, trying to get them to work with you and within the radio world, because they can't see the audience. The audience may be able to see them like we're doing today, but it is something you're talking to a screen. I think Zoom helps because at least you're looking at a human being. And I think that does make a big, big difference as far as helping them relax. So that's what I think. There's just so many uses for it. And you'll use it. You'll both use it, as will the audience someday after today.
I just threw you a confetti parade. Thank you very much, Mikki. Funny story about volunteers. I did Access TV in New York for about 20 years. I had 4 radio series. You know me, I don't stop at just one. And I had a volunteer crew that ranged in age from 17 to about 75 or 80 years old. And they were interesting people, but the teenagers who came, it was either part of a school project, they were getting some kind of a credit, or their friends said, oh, come on, volunteer. And I used to feed them bagels. I had a local bagel store and they provided bagels and salads. And we don't want egg salad, get the tuna. All right, I'll get the tuna next week, blah, blah, blah. But the point was the teenagers were constantly texting on the camera apps constantly. And I said to them, don't you realize, and Mikki, I wish I had said people work with me because that would have probably been funny, but they didn't realize that by holding the camera with the director telling them what to do, or in their headset, or them saying, when I ran camera for other people's shows, I tried to find the best shot, whether the director told me or not. Hey, that guy's playing the guitar. Let's see what his fingers are doing. Hey, that person is reacting. I was kind of bossy as a camerawoman. I'd say, that's a better shot. Can I take it? Make camera 1 hot. I would do that. But they were texting, and I said to them, you don't realize you control what the audience sees. You are one of the most important members of my crew, because you control the shots that people, oh, that's a terrible shot. I don't want to watch that show anymore. Oh, they're showing her feet. Oh, they're showing the side of her. Get me a great shot, for goodness sake. So I wish, I really, and then I had one no longer alive, but one crew member would say for Carole, let's say you showed up on my show and she said, oh, you wore black. You're going to blend in with the curtain. You shouldn't have worn black. Why'd you do that? And I say, please don't offend my guest. We'll do something. We'll give her a scarf or something. We'll do something. But they didn't understand the value of being a crew member was so important. They were the eyes and ears and the visuals of the show. But I rest my case. So we're talking about radio. So here's what we're going to do now. You've each sent me several statements on the importance of radio, the value, the joys, and the challenges, as I like to say. I don't have that much time left. We only have 17 minutes left. So let's see what we can do. Dr. Carole Lieberman, I'm going to combine 3 of your 4 statements and ask you to just take 2 minutes, and I'll let you know when we're up so we can cover everybody. So Carole says, live radio is a fabulous opportunity for spontaneity. That's number 1. I love that. Number 2, radio is better than 5-minute sound bites in other media because you get to chew over your opinions. We're talking about opinions, Mikki. And number 3, live radio can be anything you want it to be. Dr. Carole, these were 3 such brilliant statements. I had to combine all 3. I'm only giving you 2 minutes. Carole, talk to me, please.
Okay. Well, let's see. First of all, kind of the fact that it's a fabulous opportunity for spontaneity goes with what I was saying before about being authentic and so on. But also, when it's something that's scripted or if it's something that's pre-recorded, you're not really on your game as much as when it's live. I mean, I find that like doing pre-recorded TV shows, interviews, oh, well, they can always cut out if I make a mistake. But, if this is just, I mean, whatever you say is what you say, then you don't have to have these 3-minute, 5-minute sound bites, which really don't get to the heart of the matter. So you can really talk more about something, get in deeper with something. And then, yes, live radio can be whatever you want to be. Like, each week, each show can be something really different. And whatever it is that you're feeling passionate about that week.
Very well put. Absolutely. Flexibility. It's malleable. The format is yours, Dr. Carole. It's yours, Cindy. It's yours, Mikki. This is mine. I don't always go right to the opening poem monologue. I had a chat with the 3 of you about whether that voice was real or AI, and I had a good time getting you to guess before I even really formally introduced you. I can change it. Do whatever I want. And that's what I love about it as well. Thank you, Dr. Carole. Cindy, I'm going to combine your statement 1 and 4. I think these are very interesting. You say radio connects communities and amplifies voices. That's number 1. And number 4, going with that, radio fosters intimacy, loyalty, and trust among listeners and the presenting people, you and the guests. Cindy, talk to me.
I think this goes down to that authenticity piece, because we get to be, like you said, the real deal on radio. I think it takes also a lot of pressure off us as even presenters and being interviewed. Like, we don't need to be scripted. The more we show up who we are, as we are, the realer we are, I think this is what people really want to hear. They want transparency. They want the story. They want you like messing up your words. They want the cough. They want the cat coming in the middle of the interview. Like, they want to see like you're a real human living a real life and telling a story that's meaningful to everyone. I love these big podcasts that are put together and, professionally produced, but you can tell where they've clearly cut something out and they're, oh, what was that? I wish I would have heard that part of it. But, I feel like this beautiful radio is that we can authentically reach people, and the more real we are, the more that loyalty and intimate connection can happen, because I think that we can be the voice of the real deal of people. And I love that about it.
Thank you for using my phrase. I'll tell you, I won't tell the listeners, the viewers, where I live right now. Some of you know, but when I moved here, I found out there was a local TV station, and I had come from 25 years of volunteering, say independent broadcasting on a Long Island station. And I had some ideas for a talk show, and I thought this would be kind of cool. Well, I went to them and they said, okay, you can't do more than 18 minutes. I said, but I want at least a half-hour show. No. And then they said, okay, we are training a whole bunch, but I'll get in trouble for this, a whole bunch of volunteers in high-end editing software. Are you all getting my thread here, Dr. Carole and Mikki and Cindy? And they said, we're going to give whatever you record with us to these volunteers, and they're going to basically, and I can't use the word I want to use, Carole, because it's not a kosher word for Voice America for most of the shows, but we're going to chop the out of your show, and we're going to get it down to 18 minutes so it'll fit our format, because that's all we really want you to do. And I looked at them and I said, I've been doing interviews, roundtables, panel discussions, large shows, small shows, now for over 25 years. I know how to talk to people. I know how to get the best of my guests, to bring out who they are, to have a conversation. And if you're going to chop the shit out of my show, I'm not going there. So I looked at some of the shows they were doing and posting on their website. And I looked, and it's things like this. Somebody's sitting there, the host is sitting there, God forgive me, holding an index card. They would let me have a host desk. They didn't want anything. Oh, it cuts the intimacy. Give me a break. You know, I need to put I know what I'm doing. I buy the desk. No, you can't buy it. We have no place to start. You can't bring a desk. Okay. So they hold an index card. Hi, I'm Mary Jones, and I'm talking to Bob Smith and Dr. Carole today. And I have 3 questions, and she's reading. Okay, that's fine. I'll forgive her. She doesn't know what she's doing. And then they have a hard cut. My 3rd book it's like, when did we get to your first 2 books, Bob Smith? The cuts were cut,
Oh, wow.
crap. And I looked I said, nobody is going to touch my shows and decimate them like that. My conversations are gold to me and my guests. And if they won't let me do it live, at least let me do it. So I started my own show. That's fine. Somewhere else. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. Mikki, I have 2 of your statements. We're doing well on time here. Mikki, number 4, you say, listen, everybody, this will resonate with Dr. Carole and Cindy. Having a core message is the heartbeat of a show. You say it doesn't take biology to create a family. That's the core of your show. That's number 1. That's 4 number statement. Number 2, you say, for many, being on the radio can be a nerve-wracking experience. Remind someone, Dr. Carole, this goes for you as a psychiatrist, the initial fear is temporary, and once they get past it, the experience can be rewarding and memorable. Sometimes a guest clams up or answers question with yes, no. Finding the good or positive can help a host stay positive, patient, and draw out the guest. So, Mikki, can you combine all of those into 3? Take 3 minutes. That's all we got. Go ahead.
No, I can. I'll start by telling you what I did. A lot of seminars, national seminars for years in real estate. And for me, it was something I really wanted to do, but I was scared to death to speak in public. But I did it. The first time I ever did it was a small audience in New Orleans. One of the last times I ever did it was 6,000 people. So obviously it got better. But I learned something I knew what I wanted to talk about. I needed something to get over that initial part, because I knew if I could get one sentence into it, I was good, because I could, you're talking to the audience and you can kind of feel vibes back and forth, and it relaxes you. My husband said that it was like watching A Star Is Born, that I went from this nervous wreck in our hotel room to throwing it all to him in the back of the room when I first started. So I related that when I started the radio show, that I always am before an interview, a speech, anything. I'm always nervous ahead of time. The minute it starts, it's gone. And what I had done then was I got everybody up and had them hug each other just real quick, and it let me breathe. Well, I can't necessarily do that. On this, it's kind of awkward, but I have found that by talking to them ahead of time, like we were doing earlier, and doing a pre-production meeting, it just settles a lot of those nerves, because now they know, they've seen my face and I've seen theirs, and they know the style is going to be very warm, and I'm not asking them to say anything they shouldn't, and I'll lead them. And I think that helps. The whole thing about the people works with me, you got a lot of stuff going on right now. We're on 3 different videos. You got a Voice America technician there to help us. You've got 3 guests plus you. There's a lot of stuff.
Yep.
And things are going to go wrong.
We just
but
make
I'll give you one last part
one
of
last,
things
go ahead.
going wrong. Because
reality radio.
I may have said it before, but one of my first guests was Dr. Ray. He wrote a book. He wrote many books, but he adopted 9 children. And I just really wanted to hear about this. And his comment was, well, it was like potato chips. You shouldn't just adopt one. And so he was on my show early on. I think he was like the 2nd or 3rd show. And at that time, I was very new at this. And my phone in my office hadn't been turned off. So the phone starts ringing as I'm going, oh, good grief. And he jumps right in and says, if that's my mother, tell her I didn't do it. And I'm going, he was relaxing me, because he knew that I was new. He wasn't. He'd been doing this stuff for a very long time. but it made me laugh. It made him laugh. And I'm sure it made the audience laugh because
It's
you can't
charming.
take it back. It's one of
That's
those things
charming.
like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yep.
Well, this was one of those things. You couldn't say, oh no, it wasn't ringing. Or when the Shih Tzu, when I first learned that my Shih Tzu knew the difference between this and TV.
Yes.
He knows you're real people. And that's why we need him not to be here when we're having the show. So you
Thank you,
challenges,
Mikki.
but you work with it, and
Thank
it all
you.
goes fine.
I want to share something with you quickly. Somebody taught me, for some reason, I was nervous before a radio show about a month ago. Not my style at all. I do 4 live shows a week, but somebody taught me self-havening. Dr. Carole, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but if you can't hug somebody, Mikki, you have them cross their arms and touch their shoulders and then run their hands gently down the arm to the elbow and then to the wrist about 3 times, just breathing slowly and quietly. That will calm the nerves. That will feel like they're giving themselves a hug. And if everybody does it at the same time, it's like one big group hug. It saved my life during one show. I don't know what was happening with me, but a guest said quickly, and she sent me a video of a therapist showing how to do this self-havening. And sometimes when I'm on the radio, if I need a hug myself, I don't want anybody to see it. So I'll just hug my elbows, and I'll just go down to my wrists. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it calming, and it works beautifully. So I'm sharing that with you. Ladies, I have we're almost out of time. I want to give you some music history. I looked this up. You're going to love this. Today in 1969, Elvis Presley had a movie called Charo. Guess what? It was the only movie he was ever wearing a beard. He recorded the title song. The movie flopped. On this day in 1969, same day, Simon and Garfunkel won the Grammy for Record of the Year for Da 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 Da, Mrs. Robinson. And Glenn Campbell won the Album of the Year for By the Time I Get to Phoenix. I try not to sing. On this day in 1974, you're going to love this, Dr. Carole. John Lennon and Nilsson got drunk and disorderly at a Smothers Brothers comedy show at the Troubadour in L.A. They got thrown out. The press blamed Nilsson for getting John Lennon drunk and being a bad influence. Nilsson said, "It ruined my reputation for 10 years. Get one Beatle drunk and look what happens." I thought that was absolutely memorable. On this day in 1996, Nancy Sinatra gave away her white go-go boots from These Boots Are Made for Walking to the Beverly Hills Hard Rock Cafe. And Dr. Carole, this is for you. In 2001, Freud's Dilemma, the first episode of the Chris Isaak Show, aired on Showtime. It was an adult comedy with Chris Isaak, I-S-A-A-K, playing a wannabe rock star. Today is National Ruth Day. My dear beloved mom, 100 years, 1 month, 15 days, passed in my arms from a cough we didn't know was the flu of 2017. National Ruth Day. I love you, Mom. It's National Baked Scallops Day. It's Working Moms Day, and it's Organize Your Home Office Day. I'm going to put that off till tomorrow. Happy birthday. Liza Minnelli is 78, daughter of Judy Garland. We all know that. Cabaret, The Sterile Cuckoo. She was in her first movie at the age of 3, played a baby in the final shot of her mother's film, The Good Old Summertime. She was only married 4 times. James Taylor is 76 today, folk singer known for Fire and Rain, You've Got a Friend, blah, blah, blah. And Carly Simon was his first wife. You may not know this, but he was so depressed in his senior year in high school, he slept 20 hours a day. Marlon Jackson from the Jackson 5 is 67 today, and the actor who played Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, Aaron Eckhart, is 56. Okay, I have 2 social media stars, and I've got a minute to tell you. Today on YouTube, a young man named Hammond Nations, Haminations, is 23. The reason I'm telling you is he has 5 million subscribers on YouTube, and he has a video, Carole, that has 17.6 million views. He posts original animations. He posts stories mixed with fantasies. His real name is Bryson, and he's got a brother, Brody, Braden, Brenner, and a sister, Brittany. He's got 2 pet turtles and a dog. And TikTok, Christiane Jowy, Jowy, it's a man. He's 24. Please, I hope you're sitting down, ladies. He only has 10 million followers on TikTok and 701 million likes for his videos. Lip sync videos, acting as his own girlfriend and showing himself affection. I don't even want to know. And he uses a ring light as a prop for a halo. March is the month of dolphin awareness, Mad for Plaid, Umbrella Month, Play the Recorder, Berries and Cherries, Exotic Winter, Fruit, Leeks, Green Onions, and Caffeine Awareness. And in honor of Barbie, I dragged out my notes from 2014. I had the top 10 tips for women in 2014 on my radio show 10 years ago. And the first one was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. That's from 2014. Here we go. Here's the closing. Don't go away. We're going to take pictures. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. Not so much. Kiss slowly. It's the only way. Love truly. Ladies, join me in a quick laugh uncontrollably. 1, 2, 3. Come on, hurt yourself. And never regret anything that made you smile. Work like you don't need the money because nobody else really cares. Dance like nobody's watching. When I was teaching dancing, they watched. Sing like nobody's listening. Love like you've never been hurt. Right, Dr. Carole? Right, Cindy? Right, Mikki? Let your heart regrow, regroup, regenerate, and love again. Money talks, chocolate sings, la. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody else 20 years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Everybody wave goodbye. Don't go away. Thank you, Jordan, our engineer. We made it. 5:57. Jordan, are we out?
All clear.